Malcolm.
Come in.
That real Nat Geo lens. That one. That's the one we know for.
Malcolm, set up in the middle chair.
You're Malcolm in the middle today.
No, I feel like Mark is a visitor.
That's not the point.
Mark is our visitor from
This is not for the visitor.
Yeah.
It's for Malcolm in the middle.
In the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check 1, 2.
Thank
So
you.
that's actually a lovely day out, man.
Did it rain in the morning? Oh yeah, snap, it rained. Yeah, I struggled.
That's why it rained until like almost midnight.
I struggled getting out of bed this morning. Do you guys remember the first time you worked together on like a thing? Like a creative thing?
Historical Soul Train?
Yeah, it's a song train.
Yeah.
20...
When is that? Does Martin have that clip?
It does.
He does, eh? That's very good content even for right now, bro. And I'm now one of those people who thinks in terms of content and like, yeah.
It's like, we need to
It's
create
been a while.
content, we need to create content.
Get
Yeah.
some.
Did you guys like create anything as the two of you, or it was like a collective thing?
What was your
Man, mine was fluid. I was all over the place. I had this.
You were there
as
as
a drama.
As a musician, drama.
As a drama.
Very specific.
Very specific. And so the more effort was spent roaming around from one place
Working with different
The way it
people.
was structured, right, is you had like, okay, you have your film people, right? And you have your
You
dancing
went there as a what?
film people. So you have your film people, you have your dancing people, you have your visual art people, your music people. You have these different camps, right? And you have mentors in all these different camps. What is interesting, I noticed, was that Mark was needed in all of these. Essentially, he was plugged into all
he's
the
like
different projects and all the different, you know. And me, I remember I went as a film person, right? But I went when I had a whole plan. Because man, bro, you know me.
Yeah,
I like
you
to
like to
plan
script everything.
everything.
And if one thing goes off, your plan doesn't seem to make
you know
sense.
what? That's not even the problem. The problem is like in this creative world, right? I feel like there's also a very big movement and a very big set, like ideology around not planning, right? As a real way of tapping into like sincere
Spontaneity.
emotions.
Yeah, like you want things to. You sort of want people to be themselves and get like, what's the word? Authentic, you know,
Right.
whatever.
So me, I'd done this whole thing. I was like, okay, we're going to shoot like have 2 cameras. We're going to shoot. I want to do like a 3D thing with multiple screen installations. I had a whole thing in my mind, right? And we get there the first day, and I remember they start talking to us about like, yo, you know, you just gotta open yourself up to the experience. You just gotta open yourself up to the.
Just threw in the Serengeti.
Bro, I didn't make shit. Like after all those days, I went to every different camp and every different whatever. I couldn't find a way to plug into most. And I think we ended up like recording a podcast about the experience because we were doing a Gezi Gezi at the time. That was really cool because we recorded it with yourself, with Maimuna.
Yeah, in the train.
Yeah.
So we did some really nice things in that train.
Yeah.
So that means the setting favored you more because you, interestingly, sometimes I see EJUKU as a planner, but also he does not plan in his plans. Like,
I leave some room
Let
for.
this guy, when we worked with him on Akakanin, he had scripted everything. Now, to find a percussionist, a musician, scripting what he wants to do.
Sure.
Okay, people write lyrics and what,
Right.
but this was different. You know?
Okay.
This is him saying, I want like a syncopated thing here. This
How does one write drums?
You know, he has his own
Ask a
language.
drummer.
I noticed, and it's maybe unique to drummers because when you write musical notations for drums, it's quite different from the actual, you know.
Okay.
But then drummers have developed their own language.
Is this because drummers are also just like, that's a nice suggestion? You know what I mean? Or is there something about the way they write?
You ask
You know
him.
what I mean? Like, there's something about the way that you write it that is like.
This guy had things like ta 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 ta. You know, I'm like, what's that? In his head, he knows that's him going like this on the Ngalavi or whatever.
But tell us about that.
It's because it's like someone else can come up with the same pattern or come up with the same writing. So it's, I could easily call bullshit. And I'm like, that's your language. You just managed to share it more.
Right.
And make so many people get used to that.
Right.
So they
That's what
figure
the
out-
language is, you know?
That's what the language
People
is.
understand. That's
Comprehension
what
is
matters.
Exactly. And so sometimes when I'm writing my own pieces, it's more like, maybe I want a slap in there.
Right.
And how do you write a slap?
Yeah.
Slap.
Sometimes you do a thing that's not. You're trying to do the thing that you had planned for.
There you go.
And then you end up with something that's nice.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? I'm good.
It's better.
I'm
It's
good
better
with
that
this.
way.
better, yeah.
And
Maybe you don't know if it's better, but because
Yeah.
you've been trying to achieve the other and you obviously had some problems.
Yeah.
But now you found something nice out of like.
I right now think like the sweet spot creatively, and maybe this is just a personal thing. I think the sweet spot creatively is like something that is both planned and unplanned. You know what I mean? Something
Yeah,
that's like
yeah.
planned, but it's open to.
You have where
better.
to start.
Yeah.
But you're like, okay, we are here. Now we found ourselves in this like open space. Let's see what you can do with
Me,
it.
I was annoyed at the end of that. Like that was an experience that was supposed to teach you about yourself. The thing I learned about myself is I need to plan this shit, you know? For me as an artist, that's my process. And like it's not cool or like I don't know, sexy, whatever, it's not romantic. But that's my process, bro. I gotta plan. I need to write shit down sometimes, you know?
You gotta plan.
But writing is good. For me, like while I don't actively write pen to paper, I record in my head.
Right.
That means that you'll notice that even when we're like discussing what to do, maybe when we're planning to record a song,
Yeah.
I have like I'll take mental notes.
Sure.
Well, commonly called mental notes.
Yeah.
Be it when I'm mixing, I'll stay away from a thing. I won't touch it for a long time. But I'm having mental notes. I'm playing it back in my head. I'm like, I should do this here, do this here. So yeah, I guess that part of planning is there. Then when you get to actually implementing the plan and executing it, that's when you're like, okay, this makes more sense. So it's like a starting ground, starting place for the things. But then again, like they're in different like creative spaces. Like you said, he was that guy who was capable of going into different spaces with no apparent plan.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
While for you, you had this plan even before you got there.
Yeah.
You got there now, it's disorganized.
Yeah.
Like, how do you balance that? Because it's bound to happen every time you work with different people. How do you balance that?
Right. Man, I think I'm just also learning to just be honest about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not the coolest thing. It's not the... I'm like... So I was working with a producer this past week, bro. Very, very good. Like, very good in like... Bro...
He's good in music.
Okay, I'll say it like this, bro. This guy like was very in tune with music in a way that was... Is that my car?
We're good there.
This guy's very in tune with music in a way of like... He makes music so often and so frequently, right? That the process of making music is not something that you overthink or whatever.
It's like a sketch artist who just
like I just done it so often. Like, you know the thing about Picasso, like scribbling some shit on like a napkin and throwing it away and trying to charge someone like $5,000 for it because it's like, bro, this is years of doing this shit, right? So I'm working with this guy, and in terms of writing, he does not write, right? So he's also saying to me, yo, dog, try it out. Try not writing. And there's a certain amount of the song that we did like that, and it was really interesting getting into that process and just kind of
and you
laying
flow
it
it
out there.
naturally.
Yeah.
But bro, when push came to
natural
shove, we had like 20 minutes to record a
do the
verse before we
things.
had to get out, curfew, all these things. Like we'd been at the studio for like 6 hours. There was no power for like four of those hours. Yeah,
So
man, I wrote that shit
already
down.
power not being there,
Yeah.
disorganized your plan.
Yeah.
And him even suggesting more so that try not writing
Right.
even threw you off even more.
Right.
But you had to make it work.
Yeah, man. Because also, bro, sometimes that's where the best stuff is. You know what I
Do you
mean?
think
If
you've
really, like, bear
adapted
into
to
that, like,
you've adapted to a more open mind over time, or that's something that
for sure, bro. I'm just the best things come out of also not like you can hear spontaneity, by the way, and I feel like people respond to that thing really well.
Yeah.
You can hear even when you listen to a song, you can hear that this was not
It came
it
up
was
in
not
a
part of the
moment.
plan. Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels fresh. It feels that thing lasts, and it's
There are times when it
valuable,
does
you
count
know?
for a lot, and,
Yeah.
and it works.
I think as a live artist, it's something you have to. I love it.
Yeah, it's part of the
thrive
process.
on- I thrive on it.
It's
And
almost expected for you to like
to
be-
just keep going. It's
Yeah.
like you can definitely do a rehearsal, and
Yeah.
I swear, man, even if you wanted it, I'll not replicate the thing we did in the rehearsal yesterday. I'll have an idea that this is where we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Maybe a break here, a break there, but
yeah, especially when you're coming up with arrangements.
Do you remember when Mark and Brian used to perform together?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I remember at some point asking them, so yeah, guys, how do you plan rehearsals? What? And they laughed.
Like, what's a rehearsal?
Rehearsal?
Rehearsal what?
What is that, bro?
I've never done
Give us
rehearsal
the
with this
stage
guy.
to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's as simple as that.
And it almost feels like every performance becomes its own rehearsal, you know?
Right.
Just doing the thing becomes the rehearsal.
You're in it. You also learn the how he plays. He moves the scales, and you're like, oh, I see.
The undeniable necessity as a creative artist to constantly evolve and try to remain relevant in like, because now like, you know, imagine a musician, say a rapper or a singer who has really been doing this thing for long, you know, gets to be in a creative space with like new people who have adapted to doing things differently.
Right.
You know, there's
never know what
obviously
you're
going to
gonna
be some sort of intimidation there because now you're like, man, am I being seen as the one who is outdated and old?
Right.
You know, these guys don't plan, and me, I'm out here telling them. So, also what are we going to do here? Saying like me at 5. These guys like, bro, as we are good to
Let's
go.
just do it.
And now you're worried of
go.
spoiling the party because you're the guy who wants to plan. And in a way, now they are too self-aware around you because they're like...
But also, I don't know, I've also come to realize, like, man, this... Like, everyone has their own process, and there's something that you get out of all those different things. There is something that, in my work, comes from that thing of over-planning it and overthinking it and whatever, right? That I know even these different collaborators who I work with are aware of and respect as well. You know what I mean?
True.
So for me, it's also a thing of just having the confidence within myself to say, nah, that's how I work, you know?
Also, I think...
That's how I do my thing.
Just to complement that, I think planning like that helps you helps you know what to achieve.
Yeah.
Because fine, you might be spontaneous in things, but if all that doesn't help you achieve the desired goal,
Right.
it doesn't matter.
Right.
It doesn't matter how free-spirited of a performer you are.
Yeah,
it's all going to waste.
But now I want to on the flip side, this is not me, right? But what about not having a desired goal, right?
Oh, where just like...
What about doing the thing for its own sake without having a desired goal in
Still,
mind?
I think there's always a desired goal. Not the expected we are doing this to achieve this, but the point
we are
here
hopeful.
is to come up with a product
Right.
that is a telltale of our collaboration.
So the product becomes the goal.
Yes.
Not even what the product will do for you or what it will go on to become.
Like
whatever.
if we're in the
The
same
product
space,
being good.
I think that if we're in the same space, you know, under different capacities or maybe even the same, just the fact that we'll approach this thing from different angles. The thing is that we want this thing to have our identities on it, right? So me, I feel that's already one of the goals.
Right,
Is that you want to go and say that I did this with Wana and EJUKU.
Right.
EJUKU wants to say that I did this with that Malcolm guy and
And you
Wana.
can hear yourself
Wana
in
wants
it.
to say I did this with that Malcolm guy and EJUKU.
Right.
And you want to hear that in there.
Right.
So I think that already defines one of the goals that you can attain.
Yeah.
And that doesn't need to be on paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But man, I've been thinking about it a lot. Just the idea of like, as someone who makes music now and makes films, whatever, like, man. Also, I do this thing a lot of like, I don't know, managing myself, whatever, right? And there's so many things outside of the making of the thing that become important, right? I'm like, bro, like, does that not make the thing suffer? And I know there's no answer to that, you know? But it's a thing I've been thinking about a lot more. Like, how do you balance that thing of doing the thing and then doing the things that make the thing
I have no option.
visible or
I
whatever?
have no option. Like I wake up and it's like it's the itch. You know how people are itching to go do their 9 to 5.
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
good morning. What am I gonna do in this EJUKU entity today?
Yeah.
And I have a few hours that I set aside for this noise.
Yeah.
And
That already is a plan.
and then, you know, and also being like just a drama, you are a backliner.
Yeah.
Everyone expects you to be
Sometimes you take lead, sometimes you accompany.
your company most of the times, you know. And like playing with Ken, that was very dope.
Yeah.
It was more like, yo, let's go. Bah.
Yeah.
Nearly. And there was that. There's no plan here.
Right.
Let's go with the feeling.
Right.
Let's go with how the vibe is. If the vibe is good, yes.
Because then you have to read yourselves on top of reading the crowd.
I'm totally reading the
And
crowd
everything
too.
sort of influences another thing.
But
Yeah.
is there also something about, I guess, I want to say to some extent, not leading what is going on that makes it easier for you to listen to life, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
To like,
Of like observing more.
for being the person in the band who is, you're in the band, but you're also maybe perhaps not the lead in the band in that way, does that make it easier for you also in life generally to kind of allow life to flow through you, to listen more to what it's saying to you?
I think it's that the drumming has a thing with the left and right brain that just calms you down eventually.
Okay.
I like that passive watch because if you're a percussionist and you're in a band, there's too many people going. You have the choir there.
Yeah.
You have the main drum kids. You have trumpets, and the percussion guys usually behind there. So
and it's interesting how like it's small things like that you're obviously performing throughout the set. But if once he stops, everyone notices.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I don't know. There's a thing to it.
I get it.
There's a thing to it where it's like you're feeling in that space. That sort of makes it feel
complete.
Because more often than not, the few times I've witnessed this, the percussionist is not given a very defined do it like this, do it like this.
Sure.
Everybody knows, you know what we do.
Too much noise.
He will complement it.
Right.
And I don't know. Do you find it like
We
that?
just have too much noise in there.
Because if they take lead, they can do too much, but they also know to just be in there.
Right.
It's like there are certain instruments I feel you can never. You're always in the middle. You can never overdo to take lead. And you can never underdo to not be noticed. You know, if you're playing keys with a full band, unless it's your time to do a solo, you're going to be very present.
True.
But also, there's never a time when you're insignificant or overbearing.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I took it up on myself and I'm like, going this solo narrative makes sense for me if I actually put in the effort to be there. So the idea is I'll just play with anyone who comes across with me, and I'm like, let's use each other. You can use some of my people, I can use some of your people. Let's have a full glass and cheers.
Yeah, it's a very collaborative mindset that you have.
How is making music by yourself been though? As opposed to making it as part of a group?
It's very digital.
Okay.
It's very digital.
Digital meaning now you have to come up with compositions.
I have to fully finish them a lot. I have to redo. I feel like I have to redo all of them, just to get that.
You also feel it's static because now it's just
static.
you.
It's just me, and it's like, okay, this is.
You can't be surprised.
I have been surprised today. I've been surprised today.
Okay.
Yeah,
Which is good.
This guy surprised me today.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But
What happened?
I don't know.
Was it the other thing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have learned more, and I've actually dug a little bit way too more into some really weird scapes of sounds, and I think it feels just appealing and natural for some reason.
Does it feel overwhelming sometimes?
It is, because
there's so much to use and do,
and
yet I'm still trying to figure out how to do the little. Sometimes it's like that, I think.
And then I also have that natural feeling where you just the natural. There's an analog vibration that you can never beat.
Sure.
Whether you have all the
they call it the humanization aspect of it.
Right.
You cannot beat that, and that's why I feel like I'd love to share my tracks to people. I'm like, check it out, it's nice, but if I can't listen to it and dance to it, you're not gonna get it.
You'll hear Alim several times talking about how even for me when you make a thing and your litmus test is how you groove to it,
Right.
If you can't groove to it, that means
if you can get that
good.
Sincerely. If you don't enjoy it for yourself, man, I don't know, because I feel like personally, bro, people are different. But I feel like you make music for yourself, man, first and foremost. You make music for yourself and the people in that room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just entertaining each
it's
other.
definitely a form of self-expression.
Yeah.
By all means.
You're having a chat, you're having a
It is the
conversation, you know? For me, making music honestly often feels like making the homies laugh, you know? Like that thing of just being in a room and just having a chat and having a conversation, it often feels like that, you know? There's certain things that we might share, there's certain things that we might be able to bounce off of each other,
and that's
the reward that comes at the end,
I had worked with EJUKU more extensively before you and I started working, but even with him, right, he had been the EP that he put out, Akakanin, right?
Yeah.
It sort of like he came with the ideas and was starting. It took a couple of days for him to like come through, explain to me.
Okay.
Then even me, I interpreted his direction or whatever he was saying, and then I was like, "You should do this." That's when we decided to add like soundscapes, and then you came in with Nina, and even like ideas started to bounce until tracks started to like take shape. Because while he had planned the thing out, the feeling you get,
It just wasn't there.
the feeling.
Right.
Like, you know how you listen to a track and you're like, it sounds like a thing but lacks heart.
Like on paper.
soul.
Like this is great on paper.
Very
Yeah.
nice on paper.
Yeah, and then once you click that, you're like, yes, that's
Yeah.
it. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
And more often than not, that like collaborating help. Like when you collaborate, you achieve that very easily. You
Okay.
never get stuck.
Okay.
You never get stuck.
Yeah.
You know. And to see how like you might have an idea. And this is something I also do a lot. Every time I'm with guys in the studio and I'm sitting on the computer, I play beats. Bare beats.
Right,
Up until we're tired. But there's always going to be a thing of, oh, that's nice. Then maybe I pull up the session if there's a thing to add, or there's a spontaneous thing of, I think I have an idea for that.
Right. Yeah.
Or could you send me that? You know,
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, and it's like, it always happens. And I love when that happens. That it helps me like, okay, I think I gave this as much as I could for the time. I've given this as much as I can for the time being. It's nice for someone else to have some input on it.
Right.
Then I will. Then an idea that didn't come from me just, you know, helps me go into a different direction, which is really nice, you know. And even with performing, you know, sometimes you go on stage and in your head you imagine the crowd.
Right.
And then the crowd just does not do that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe you are thinking that guys are sitting down
Right.
and enjoying your vibes,
Yeah.
right? Now guys are standing right in front of you
Yeah.
and they're
They're
trying to
waiting.
move their heads.
Bro.
Now you
Nowhere
have to
to
change
go.
and
Bro.
assist them move their heads. Or maybe you imagine them like really up and dancing and paying attention to
Very specific examples.
Yes.
Very specific memories. You
do?
You've imagined them dancing and what, and now they're sitting down and they're like, do I have to change things? You know? And it's common.
Yes.
Even the few times we performed where you
Yes.
come up to me and you're like, yeah, move that track.
It's not happening today.
You know? I remember also with you when we had that set at Five Horsemen.
Oh man, Patrick was
I could see him.
the best set.
He would just do this. It's like keep that going for some time,
Right.
or kill that.
Don't give it.
You know, but yeah, reading.
I love the one smallest thing that I love every time I finish playing with someone is that laughter. I think that's a small one. Like, you have nothing else to do but laugh, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's amazing how you
get
you find yourself in a space you'd never know how you're going to feel after performing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like you've made it.
You made it.
But also I feel like sometimes that thing is also like, yo, bro. Like everyone else doesn't know what you know about what was going on in that situation. You know what I mean? There might have been some fuck ups, there might have been some,
Of
you know
course.
what I mean?
You know,
And you're just like, there's so much that everyone else is never going to know.
Yeah.
I've been learning that thing, bro. Like, as like someone who's a bit of a perfectionist, I feel like often I have that thing of like, but it didn't do the thing that we wanted to make. And bro, I realized I used to be that nigga. Like people would be like, yo man, I really like this thing. And me, I kill their vibe, and I'm like, yeah, but you know, if he had I was like, nobody cares, bro. Nobody knows. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
They just saw what they saw and enjoyed what they enjoyed, and like.
Yeah.
How do you guys deal with finishing the track? Because I never feel like I can finish any. The track is never finished.
Yeah.
I feel like I still have some loopholes in
Yeah.
there. And how do you guys get around it? Besides just having a deadline now, okay.
Setting yourself a
But
deadline is very hard.
If it's not that,
If there are other people involved in the process,
Yeah.
it's easy to have like a deadline where you're just like,
Right.
you
can be accountable to someone else.
You know, like
You
we
know,
have a release date. that
someone's
has
going
been
to call
set,
you and be
I'm
like,
like,
yo,
yo.
bro, so are we still on for Friday?
You know.
Yeah.
otherwise, this is personal politics.
How do you like, even for you when you're writing, how
Right.
besides other people telling you it's done,
Yeah.
how do you come to terms with the fact that I think I have given my best, wherever it's going on, be it the producer or the mixing
Right.
guy, that guy,
They got it.
don't disturb me, I've given you everything.
Man, sometimes I never get to that point, honestly. Sometimes I never get to that
Up
point.
until
that,
it's
like,
out there and you're like, well, I can't do anything about it
I
anymore.
think the things that come out are things that I've gotten to that point. And I think I like them so much sometimes that I'm like, even the things that are not perfect about them, they make that moment the moment. You know what I mean? And there's also something about me that's very impatient to like do the next thing. And also like, bro, like I think coming from film, I've seen so many people who like work on a thing for years, bro. Like will work on like be editing a documentary for like 10 years, like
reshooting,
bro,
recasting, even,
bro. And like for me, that's hell. That's literal hell. Literally not being able to work on something else because I'm like on this thing. That's hell to me, dog. And like I think for me, it's a thing of like I just want to be released, like. When I like it and I enjoy it and I'm grooving to it, okay, cool, it's kawa. Let's now do our best to finish it and like keep it moving.
Yeah.
Sometimes I regret making moves like that, but I also try not to regret too much, bro. Like it's a journey. It's for moving on and growing and progressing.
Do you think it spurs you on to look forward to the next thing because you're like,
100%.
I'm not going to work like this, or I will work like this again?
100%, because like when there's something that I know, like, do you ever get that thing where you hear something and you're like, but I could have done with a bit more of this, and the next thing I overcompensate on that thing.
Yeah, that's even before you start, you're like, the other thing that I could have done more.
Like Retouch was all like very good songs.
Yeah.
Apart from like I think Mike and Diggy. The others are not necessarily bangers in that way. Feedback is to a certain crowd, but like they're not bangers, and they're not. That's not even something that we were thinking about necessarily. Until, bro, you know, I started putting this music out and going out to the club and what, and just being like, man, can I hear
anything
that song in this moment, in between Muyayu and goddamn Ratata? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Can I hear Sirikawa Retouch like on the dance floor, you know, at Meet Guy? You know what I mean? Can I hear it at... And yeah, there are things that can make it happen. It's a good song, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, even me as a DJ, I don't know that that's the song I would play
in such a place,
in that spot. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
So I feel like we've overcompensated with like the other stuff that we've done ever since, given that concern. And I think having done that, that won't be a concern anymore. There'll be something else. We'll be like, man, that shit wasn't deep enough anymore, you know? Fuck, you know, bro. And that's the way love goes, bro.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I guess for you it's a thing of there's things get done and finished, but there's always a thing where you're just like, I would like to do it differently next time. And the only thing that stopped you from trying it was maybe the fact that if I start now, oh my God, am I going to do, you know? There's also that, you know?
Yeah, but also, man, like, sometimes the thing is good, bro. And, like, some of these things, you only see them when the thing is out. You know what I mean? You only really feel them when the thing is out and it's no longer belongs to you, you know? That's when you really start to see that, oh, you could have...
I mean, like, if we talk about Sirikawa, like you said, Sirikawa technically has 4 versions. 4 versions of Sirikawa.
Right. Are you talking about the mixes?
Bro, they're like... 15,
like in the song itself?
15 mixes, only 9 kept on my computer. Other 6 I deleted. Right?
Yeah, but...
I backed up the session and said, this one, I'm going to work in another space. I'm going to create a new thing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going with a new thing. But it's definitely one of those things where for me, it's when I'm refining, I'm not trying to change the thing. I need to make it sound like you've said, you know. If it can be played with other songs, and it feels like, this fits.
Yeah.
You know, just seeing some of the feedback from people saying, you know, the bass, you know, and I'm like, this thing I had sleepless nights over. This thing that stressed me and not want to talk to Malcolm for a long time. You know,
it's strained our relationship, bro.
Has actually worked, you know. Like every time it would be like, yo, so man, you can send me the mix, and I'm like, I'm going to send. And then I go into the computer and I'm working on the thing, and in that space I've worked on like 3 mixes already because I have to save each one. Right? I'm like, nah, man, I'm not in the space to work on it. I can't send this thing. You know, I like to send a thing knowing that I'm going to get some feedback from you, but also knowing that it allows me listen and know what else I can do. But I think that's the thing about like finishing songs. It's hard to finish a thing when you are the alpha and omega of that thing. It's hard.
Now, with Sirikawa, I'll tell you the truth. The real problem that we had with it was there's a certain amount of like involvement I ended up having in the production to some extent.
No, but
was also outside of
it's expected.
Yeah, but I think it really made me attached to a certain version of it, right? That
And I remember telling
The
you
mixes
specifically,
coming out
please
were-
don't have that demotitis thing.
Yeah.
Where you get attached to a version I've
Yeah.
sent you.
yeah, and like all the other versions coming out after, like, man, it was a struggle, dude. And also a thing of like, it was the honest thing of like, man, if I don't like it also, like, as me, right? How can we put it out and like
Exactly. You
send
can't-
it,
you
push
can't
it,
live with
you
yourself.
can't-
You can't.
How do you post about it every day if you don't like it
not
yourself?
worth
it.
You know,
You
So-
can't
not
fake
worth it.
being gassed about something you don't
Yeah.
like all the time.
Yeah. And bro, how do you know? How do you know when a song is done?
I usually get the feedback, but also I taste it on people randomly.
Okay.
So I have a few, just play it random and get the facial, like, okay.
Yeah.
I see them moving. They're moving.
Right.
Or just play it with people and
Just
see their
random. I don't even tell you this is a new track coming out. Nah,
reactions. You just see guys be like, man, who is that? What is that? What is that?
Okay. You don't even
Okay.
say anything. You
No.
don't. You just let it rip.
no, and then you'll hear it coming out of somewhere like, that's the
Right,
guy. But
right.
I'm trying not. It's like, it's the body language, is the non-verbals that
Right, that really
speak
tell
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, okay. Oh, like,
Yeah.
Remember this one time, I was in the studio with Youth, this famous British producer. He'd just
What
come
a
into the
name.
country.
What
He's
a
really
goddamn
old,
name.
you know,
I love
really
it.
old.
yeah, remember this guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's in the studio. He had just come into the country that time,
Right.
right? And he's insisting to like come in the studio and listen to a couple of things because he was supposed to start working either the next day or the day after. And he's in the studio. He's rolling a J, smoking, and you could see he's like dozing in between things. Me, I'm just like, everything I'm playing, I am not attached to.
Right.
So if I see you dozing, like you're tired. So I don't expect you to like jump up in
Sure.
a moment now. But like, then the one thing I had been keeping to play, I played one song.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm still working.
That
on
one
it,
you really
still
liked.
working on it. And that's the one he was lying down. He got up and was just like, I like that one. And in my head I was just like,
He has been listening the whole time.
he's been listening, but this is the one that he got up. He's been dozing.
Yeah.
That guy was bare snoring in the studio.
Yeah.
You know? And this one he stopped, sat up, and was like, I like that one. Send it to me, and I was like, wow, okay, interesting. You know, we'll definitely do that. And even watching how he worked, knowing he worked with the likes of, he actually was the second half of a band him and Paul McCartney
Yeah, but this track,
formed.
What?
So yeah, so
The Paul McCartney.
yes,
Beatles.
yes.
Wow.
So a big deal,
Wow.
big,
deal.
very
A
big
bit,
deal.
yeah.
So like to see him just like work, he never allowed you take too long on a thing. Nowadays you'll see so many producers whether when you watch a tutorial or people recording, they spend so much time recording, right? Because they want many takes. And the truth is, more often than not, they won't use 80% of what they're recording.
Right.
Because they recorded one good thing
Right.
and they get super good with that, which is good.
Yeah.
Him, it was just like, once he hears a few good things with the recording, if it's like an instrumental performance, it's like, sharp, keep that.
did those,
He'll
tracks,
give you maybe 3 goes, but that's it.
Yeah.
Don't stress, man.
Yeah.
Like,
did
I'm
those
here-
tracks ever come out?
So, a couple came out. They all I had was that.
Are you asking because of the process you had or because
He
of
was
knowing
there,
that-
right?
Yeah.
And you remember the process recording. Actually, how EJUKU got involved in Youth came and recorded a bunch of tracks. EJUKU was around. He had been actually called to play percussions or something. He ended up doing vocals.
Oh wow.
Because
okay.
all the other vocalists
Yeah.
were overwriting. And Youth was like,
Okay.
don't write.
Yeah.
Vibe with the music. I want you to try a few spontaneous things and I will make a thing out of that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he gave.
Oh, wow,
And he took
okay.
lead on the thing,
Yeah.
which was nice.
But I've never heard this track.
I've only had that song once when they sent through a couple of
Demos?
like not mixes ideally, but there have been some challenges getting I think his label to do the co-release. I think that has been the only thing.
So it's been admin things, huh?
Yeah, admin things, and I mean can't say it's understandable, but it's just like it's one of the part. It's a part in the process, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So many.
So I
many-
mean, we end up doing
many
two.
parts.
There's sometimes you like when you're collaborating and you don't have that leverage, that control,
Yeah.
but you're expected to like you're sort of taking lead in the creative process, but you have no say in what comes of
Yeah,
this deliver.
yeah.
That's not a very good place to be in.
Not a very good one.
Because you can end up giving you all and being too attached to a thing that's not your baby. You gave birth to a child that's being given away. You know? And that's not nice.
It's more like, some things you're gonna do and guys are gonna go use it. You're like, bless, enjoy it if you have.
Or a song came out of it and it's a hit out of what you did and you don't know.
You don't even have an idea. But
I imagine to some extent that thing is easy if you make money off the thing. Letting go, I think it's easier if you make money from it, if you're paid for it.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's, to some extent, there's a way when you're not paid for the thing, you really overcompensate as well.
Yeah, because they're like, at least let this count for something.
Right,
You know?
that's right. And I think this, I don't know, being people who make things that we really care about and really give a fuck about, I found that thing really like, but I had a friend who's he's a writer, right? He used to tell me, bro, like, if I get that check, do what you want with it, bro, because I'll overattach my things to things, and I just want to be able to even continue doing my work. I'm so annoyed with
Give me
what
the
I
one
did
thing
with
I'm
my
okay
last
using
film.
for myself, my money.
Yeah.
and go away.
Okay, but like also
Do you find that's your experience? Like, if you're
on
paid
the money
for work,
things, the money things, like even when you're paid, right? I don't know. Sometimes you have to get yourself in a state of mind where you're like, I'll be paid. I'm offering a service here, and I invoice you and you pay me. I'm good. Then there are times where you're just like, even when I'm being paid, I would like to know that I'm being credited properly.
Right.
Wherever this thing goes,
Right.
because
But you don't get that here.
yeah, that's the other thing is that the unfortunate thing is that we've had so many cases of Western, people documenting the things and recording things. With the things,
Sporting. Duty free.
and we end up not
And then
getting anything.
You find it on their website. It's very expensive,
Bro.
Yes, and now real talk, I know so many people who hate doing that. So many people who hate being in those creative spaces because they're like, and some people have been very bold about it. They're just like, you all come here to just
gross,
like
bro.
take things and not give back.
Yeah.
This is the exact same thing they did when they took our artifacts and they became artifacts in their museums and things like that.
Right.
It's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Now these things are being kept, knowing very well that when you have an idea, you will keep it and sell it. Right? That's the same thing they do.
Yeah.
Same thing they do. Every time they have an artist who's looking for a new idea, a new thing, they have A&Rs who work with producers. Like, I went to Africa, I was there for 3 months, I recorded a couple of things, come listen,
Have you listened to that new Georgia Smith song, the Amapiano song?
No.
You haven't,
What does it sound like?
No, it's just that it's a song that she made with, I don't know if the producer himself is South African. I think that's been part of the issue. The backlash has been really a sight to behold. It has been a sight to behold. I did not know people felt that strongly about that. But I think also because she's black, I assumed it would work differently, but no, my G.
She's British?
Oh, yeah, she's British. No.
Was it a thing of like guys are just like, so you're trying to own our thing?
Yeah, and you're not even getting any of the people who are part of the scene.
The original people,
the guys who do the thing to do the thing. And I completely get that.
It's. I think the first time I realized that was a problem was when World Cup 2010. When Shakira got to like
Waka waka
and guys are just like so we are hosting the thing and you can't even use our musician to do a lead.
They didn't even have a single one of those guys with a big stomach in the video. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Me personally, that would have been really great. This is a shout out to the actual shit, to the actual originators of the thing. Nah, man, like.
So how do you define that? A thing where someone is not stealing, but they're stealing.
Like, I don't know. I think if the people who made the thing don't gain from it, you know what I mean? If they don't gain from it, if they But also, I think it like also like, I don't know, man. Like, it's me. I think it's a power thing more than anything. I think it's a power thing. I think it feels very different when someone on SoundCloud goes ahead and samples that Samina song and makes like a lo-fi deep house remix or some shit. Would be fire, right? But it's different when Shakira does it for the World Cup and what.
Yeah.
You get a pay for it.
Partly because of how much is being made from it. Partly because of how little chance the people who originated it have getting some recompense out of it.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's often for me the power dynamic is the biggest thing in that
There's this
that
website called Who Sampled It.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You go through it and have
Oh
a
man,
blast.
it's crazy. It's crazy. I love it.
I love it. I'm gonna get the app actually. That's why I've reached.
Does it work like a Shazam or you have to like
I think
enter?
so.
Do you have to enter the things?
You have to enter the things.
Enter.
Yeah.
Okay.
The things, it shows you everything that sampled it, that got sampled by it. That,
Yeah.
like, so good.
Do you think? Well, some guys consider it a form of like success. If
There's
somebody
nothing
samples your song, right? You're like, okay, I'm getting the recognition.
Sure.
Do you think if that ever happened to you, how would you approach it?
Man.
First of all, what's your sentiment?
Right.
Someone sampling you,
Right.
and maybe they reach out to you, maybe they don't.
Right.
But generally, what's your sentiment on some? Is it? Would you be okay? Would you be excited?
I want to be sampled. You know what I mean? Like, I think the music we made as Mr. Mankwa, the whole point of it was for it to be sampled. But even now going forward, like, bro, I honestly want to be like an old ass man making sampling money of other people's labor.
That's how
You know what I
do
mean?
it.
That's what I want, bro. Like, I want some other guys to like labor and toil because they downloaded my shit off like a little YouTube link or whatever. They told the labor, they made some magic. They pull up, they're like, yo, dude, okay, cool. Want to put this thing out, but we want to get your blessing. This is the percentage that we want to work with.
That always doesn't
we have
happen,
that
but
conversation. For me, that would be ideal, right? But in my experience, also try being the person on the other side of that table. So much more complicated.
How would you feel about it, EJUKU?
There's nothing new on this planet.
Yeah, that's very true.
Like
There's different iterations of many things.
right.
I almost feel as soon as you release it, it's no longer
It's no longer yours. It's gone. And also, because we're also coping from our surroundings. You hear that?
Yeah, you have your own passive and
You
active.
have your passive and active
sampling,
sampling, sampling here, there, here, cricket there. You're like, I want that. Maybe you hear a back channel of some guy's keys. You're like, I want that. Like a Boda guy. Boom, you know that.
Yeah,
that's
you hear a
done.
thing and you're like, that sounds like a thing.
That sounds like a thing, and if you relate it, boom.
Yeah.
Speaking of influences, right?
So EJUKU, we can like sample you, like we need to do splits. What?
You know what EJUKU is talking about? EJUKU is talking about what influences you.
Right.
When it comes to sampling, that's a different thing. If a guy pays tribute or homage to your work,
Right.
or your name,
Right.
I think there is a form of I feel respected. But if it doesn't happen like that, right? If a guy just like uses your works without no form of compensation, be it credits or mine, right? That's a different thing. That's a form of disrespect.
Right.
As a guy is saying, oh well, you put it out there, it's a thing. But no, it doesn't work like the reason why we have distribution and publishing, so we can protect our works.
Exactly, sure.
If you want to make money off a thing that I made also, it's only right.
Sure,
It's only right that I have a piece of the cake.
Yeah.
I think that's okay.
Yeah, man. If I made my idea and it's a good idea, bro.
Yeah.
If you make something of my idea, we make something of my idea. You know?
Are you like with the fear of somebody possibly ripping off your idea? Creative spaces where everything is documented and recorded. They're sometimes a bit tricky because you might be there. I know people.
Just me.
I know
You're
people.
just in studio.
They're just like, bro, so when I was walking up to the studio, man, I just want to come and chill. We're out there with phones, right? On record, everything. They seem to be contributing, but they're contributing to encourage you.
Right. To write for them.
Then they will go back and be like, so I have this thing.
Right.
And they do.
Right.
Now, obviously, when you get to know people like that, obviously, you'll know how to be around them. But there are people like that. People who are just like, I have my ways of getting ideas. He doesn't see it as stealing. He sees it as him having a field recorder and going to the forest, going to the streets. You know,
see the species in their natural habitat.
Like he sees everyone like a bad
resource.
outside.
He's a resource.
The guy's just like, my forest is the studio. I go there and record things. You know, the producer will play an instrumental for 15 seconds. That's all I need. Keep that. I go and make it. And it happens a lot, man. So
I don't know, man. Savage, bro. It's about to be like, so like when it comes to like filmmaking and stuff, right? I very much have this thing of like, bro, I'm gonna tell you my story, right? There's a chance you're going to be inspired by something in that story to come
and
up
do
with
a
something
whole
of
other
your own or whatever, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, my ideas are too weird. No one's going to try to like make them on their own, but like that's not,
not get there.
I've learned to not take that thing for granted, you know. At the same time, I don't know, for me there's a certain amount of like, I don't own this that I have, right? But there's also a certain amount of like, we could be having a chat, right? And you could say something in jokes, right? If I have the idea to turn, which has happened a lot, if I have the idea to turn that into a hook, to turn that into a thing that I know is the source of something that could be something, I will do what I can to control that.
Okay.
I will do what I can.
You'll make sure it doesn't just go out there.
I'll do my best. You know what I mean? But then I also know, bro, if I could put that song out and then you could be inspired by that to do something else and have no control. You know what I mean? Like at the various levels at which that happens, you have very little control over, bro.
Yeah.
I've had hella retouches this year, bro. Can I tell you that? Like I've had hella retouches this year where I'm like, I remember thinking about that and being like, man, if this shit pops the way we want it to, if it hits the way we want it to, everyone's going to be doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone, people who have even more power and more access to these samples than we do, are going to be on this train and are going to be doing it.
You had
But you have to
did
do
you
it,
listen
you
to
know what I
Kenzo's
mean?
album? Kenzo's
No,
album
Made in Africa.
Made in Africa.
No, I haven't, not yet.
That guy retouched 2 songs, right? Interestingly, he actually featured oh my god, what's that song with Monique Seka? But there's 2 songs in there. He actually got the original artist,
right, to feature,
to
right?
retouch with him.
Right.
It was nice.
Nice.
And like even the times guys have retouched like Willow's songs or Kofi Olomide. Like when you get him in the studio and he actually does a thing.
Right.
Even that when Yemi Alade had Angelique Kidjo.
Right.
With her doing that song. Angelique redid her verse.
Okay.
Or part of the verse.
Yeah.
A huge chunk of it for you to know this is her redoing the thing. And it's just technically a retouch. But you have approached it differently. You have most guys when they do a retouch, they're not trying to flip the genre. And when they flip the genre, it becomes a thing of you just sampled the song, you know. But yours is very specific to a retouch because you're actually paying homage to the original artist or the idea, you know.
Bro, I only realized like later on that like that's what the artists also want, you know. What they want is also to be a part of the creative process of making the song and making it happen, right? And yet I think we're coming from this mentality, which I think is a very Western one as well, where like I don't know in America when I don't know someone wants to sample a song, they make the song, you know, and then they
approach you after.
Then they send it to the label, and the label approaches the person and it's like, okay, cool, we have the sample, what do we have to pay to clear the sample, blah blah blah, right? I think that was our expectation, was that we're going to have our creative time to like sit in studio, sample the songs, however many we want, right? And then see what works, see what doesn't work, see what, you know, and then when it's done and dusted, we present the best version of itself to the person to say, look at this wonderful thing we've... Because I was like, if you don't give them a complete thing, there are too many holes and ways for them to say, it sucks, you know what I mean?
Did you ask them?
Yeah, there were a couple of occasions where we spoke to people who are like, you can't come to me after you've made the thing.
After you've mastered it and said this is the final version,
right.
it's supposed to come out tomorrow.
Right.
Yeah, some of them
After
weren't so
thing,
impressed
you
with
know?
that.
Nice.
That was never the case. It was never a thing of it's coming out tomorrow, you know? Like before it would get released, that's when we're having the conversation.
Yeah,
and like, guys were like, nah, bro, like we want to be a part of the process. And I completely get that, you know? I think we came from a different expectations. Different expectations of the thing.
Oh, nice.
But also, me, that's why not everyone would look at it like that. Some guys are actually okay. They're just like, as long as you didn't, as long as you didn't like destroy, or undermine what I had done for your own thing. Paying homage, obviously, like some people want to be a part of the thing. Yeah. Some people are just like, let me at least direct how it should sound.
Yeah.
Or we even had instances of some of them telling us like we have to rewrite the thing. They were not saying I want to sing, but they were just saying I like that you've used my part here. Yeah. But I'm also saying that, why don't you rewrite that thing like this?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a weird place to be in, especially when we had gone through the motions of mixing and producing and recording and mixing, and we had our taggos, tag of wars in there. And it was done. We were happy with the thing.
Yeah.
But then the final piece didn't seem to fit, which was very important. It felt like the whole brick house was going to fall down if that one piece didn't fit. And now we were like, we go with this brick or we put another brick there that fits. And man, like everyone will like I can't imagine every artist has the same experience and story.
Yeah, but it's different also when you're like
different.
It's different given like where you're at as well,
Like I'm happy for you guys to actually have taken this chance to reach out to the guy. I found that I'm falling in love. I've always fallen in love in this old repertoire, these old nice pieces.
Yeah, it gives you like a sort of nostalgic feel.
Yeah, and borrowing from them. And I remember we did a few runs around the city talking to all these musicians. And there was this vibration you picked up from them that was like, man, I did my part and I'm not yet ready to share my information. I still think I still got it. And that way, it was a little bit limiting for most of us because, like, man, I want to find something.
It feels like they weren't forthcoming with their wisdom and insights as well.
And it's sound. So we're like, man, what does a Choli sound like from back then? What does artists or people sound like?
Then when you go to the people, they're like,
but why don't you buy for me something here first and let me see,
For me, that thing always makes me think, like, for them when they were coming into the industry, right? What were their forebearers like? You know what I mean? The people they found already as old niggas in the industry, like, what were those guys like to them?
But I'm sure those guys just shared the music naturally, like a birthright. Because
at the time, people were not. People were not very
as commercial.
Music. I think the revenue streams of music. It was more like the thing of, man, me have done a thing like I would be if people accept it as a nice thing, I'm happy. I think there was a phase like that. People accept it as a nice thing, I'm happy. If I'm able to be paid like a small thing here and there, well and good, but
it wasn't like an industry thing.
I don't know how to do this consistently for money.
But bro, I also think to some extent like we're coming into this because in having some of these conversations with guys about like their work and their copyrights and whatnot, I came to realize, bro, like very often, right, this thing seems to come from a place of feeling screwed in the past. You know what I mean?
Over and over
feeling
again.
like one has been screwed by whether it's colleagues, promoters, whatever.
Being undermined and disrespected.
Yeah, it's guys like who, for example, hadn't had their work published by third parties on streaming platforms for a very long time that were making their money and they weren't seeing a coin of it. You know what I mean? Those guys are definitely butthurt coming into this like digital age that they're not all that familiar with.
Who's getting Cafero's money on
You know what I mean?
Spotify?
So those guys, I feel like that makes you very. I feel like that makes you very like tight butthole. You know what I mean? About all this stuff. Like it makes you very just
like
not forthcoming. You know.
Oh, also, most of them were never copyrighted, and look at like say the sounds that we are taught in say high school.
Yeah.
That MDD situation.
Right.
Those sounds would be something if someone actually took that day and put it down. Well, I'm doing.
Right.
I think
someone did.
You can copyright your if you record the thing.
Yeah.
You can copyright your master recording, but you can't claim the composition.
No, I cannot claim the compositions, but yet
But it still needs to be some documentation at the very least, you know what I mean? Because there's also an issue of like, in this environment where you don't really document things, there are things that are in the public domain, but are not really registered in that way. You know what I mean? We know they're in the public domain, but they're not registered in that way. So derivative works of them end up being the thing that's registered in the public domain, so that they become the original thing. You know what I mean? We know the public domain thing, right? But it's not registered anywhere necessarily.
Yeah.
So the first thing that's copyrighted, registered in 2010, that becomes the
Kalavanda
thing.
story.
What's the Kalavanda story?
Kalavanda story.
Is that the origin of the Kalavanda story?
I'm trying to think of no. There's no original.
Kalavanda was hearsay. So it's hard to know the origins of the hearsay thing.
There's no hearsay.
Because what's your closest encounter? When I say encounter is, have you ever met somebody who encountered the thing? Or have you experienced a thing that you thought, maybe that was a Kalavanda?
No.
Have you had any?
I had a homie who went to Sao Paulo, Kagwa, and
And he also told stories of people who said they had
with experience
the toilet situation or
like domes. A dome thing.
The
Domes.
slap.
Yeah.
The slap
You
was
think
The
Yes,
slaps or like strokes of a cane.
For me, it was the slap. It was like, damn.
When you say for you, is it a story you had or
I
something you
had this
experienced?
story and I imagined it was like this hand, this skeleton hand, and just smashing you in the
How do you
wrong
even know it's a
places.
skeleton hand?
Because
But you got slapped, eh?
Yeah, you
Just
got
to confirm,
slapped.
you
Just-
no, you
no.
Mark.
The stories are that if you are sleeping in the middle or the above situation, you might just get
Because the Kalavanda doesn't bend.
no. And stories,
Yeah, that's the story. Apparently the
But do you
Kalavanda
know what the
doesn't
form
bend.
is? Did you
And
hear what
like-
the form is? Like it's form or structure.
I don't know if I was told there was a bed sheet or if I just thought it was a bed sheet. If I imagined
Because
the
you
bed
had
sheet.
seen ghosts in cartoons
Movies,
that day.
yeah. But
We
it might
thought it was skeletons
Oh.
of caravan. But
What's the direct translation of that a Kalavanda or a Kalavanda?
It's supposed to come from the onomatopoeia of like hearing the sandals, right? So apparently Kalavanda wore like those old school like sandals that like, you know, that just have the thing that sticks between your toes.
Like a Kalugavide.
Right, but without the side straps.
Yeah, it doesn't have the sides.
Yeah, so those old school wooden, like when you go to the museum, like those old school wooden sandals.
The
that,
suffering
like,
one.
Yeah. And apparently when that thing is walking on like concrete, on concrete floors in the middle of the night, it sounds like Kalavanda.
That's like a trotting horse.
Kalavanda. Yeah, pretty much. So just in the middle of the night, guys, you hear the thing, you know it's time.
So some people had it walking. Some guys only got slapped. Others got scratched. I remember in primary, it was actually a big deal. Like they went on the assembly and said, if you're scared of going to the toilet, you don't go to the toilet.
Right.
Finish your business from home.
Right.
And then actually for some time the toilets were closed. Thing is like
So I'm sorry?
yeah.
All the toilets?
Yeah, so like every day. There was a time for
This
like
is a day
2
school,
weeks.
boarding school.
This was a day school.
That's cool.
Oh, so day school Kalavandas are in the toilet, boarding Kalavandas are in the dome. Something got it.
So now, for like, this was weird because for like 2 weeks, you'd hear stories. This guy went to that toilet and the thing scratched him in his buttock.
Right.
And they were real like, I got
He
scratched.
will show his bum.
I remember a guy who showed us his thigh. Said he got scratched in that toilet.
Yeah.
Then they started saying maybe it's the guy who cleans the toilets who's in there. The guy was like, no,
Right.
it's not me.
Right.
He says me, I cleaned that thing, but like, so what happened was they locked that one. There were I think 4. They locked 1, left the 3. Again, one of them also. You go in there and you lock the thing, like a thing scratches you. So they locked that one also. How true this story is, why I don't know. Maybe because the toilets didn't have light. So when you close
You go
the thing,
there.
maybe there's a cat in there. I don't know. Maybe there's a thing in there.
Unfortunately, there might also be someone just hanging out in that stanky ass
And
toilet.
they're just waiting to scratch.
Just waiting to scratch people. That's so sad, bro.
Booty scratcher.
Booty scratcher. Bro.
Bum scratch.
Bum scratcher. Oh my god, where did bum scratcher even come
Yo.
from?
I think I said booty scratcher, like those like old school like African Americans making fun of black people, like African people. That's some 80s racism, bro. That's some 80s anti-blackness.
But yeah, the stories of Kalavandas were like, most of us experienced it like passively. It wasn't. We didn't have like. It was just like, I don't know. Were you also just trying to get attention by scratching yourself and saying I got scratched from there? It's hard to tell.
Right? There's a part of me that's like, maybe it's an excuse, but also
Something.
there's a part of me that's like, bro, if you're the guy who starts the
also
story
genius.
and starts telling people, right, you have all the power of that narrative. You know what I mean? You have now all the power to stop guys going to the bathroom. Can you imagine if you just know as an individual you single-handedly stopped people from using the bathroom
At 3 a.m.
bro, like for a whole
I was
term,
here.
for a whole term, yeah, dog, like that's
You're doing a
a
good
flex,
job.
man. That's
Yeah.
you like, I don't know, I don't care how you do.
And you
in
tell that
school,
story after you've left that school. You're like, I remember this one time.
That kid is set for life, by the way, bro. That kid is set for life. Like that kid is never gonna fail. That kid is like someone who like those motherfuckers. Like
good story.
the guys we look at in school, we're like those are the guys we think are going to succeed. Bro, I think sometimes you need to look at the guy who got caught cheating in the exam.
Yeah.
Right.
Bold enough to do it. Bold enough to break the norm of things.
That's the nigga that's gonna make it, bro. That's the nigga who knows the. Who
I
gets
remember this
life.
one
What the
kid
guy
in
who
Primo.
narrates a movie for you. Full on.
Yeah, this one kid in Primo who, every time he wanted to dodge a lesson, he didn't dodge by not being there. He
Yeah.
dodged by making sure the lesson didn't happen. How? He came with rotten eggs in an airtight container. All he had to do was, and then keep it.
Yeah.
Done.
Wow.
Done. The lesson is
Bro, that person is unstoppable, bro, in life.
The guy is
Sincerely.
just like, I need to move
Sincerely.
mountains. I will
Yeah.
use,
That's that shit, bro. Like I feel like the things you learn in school, bro, you forget most of the actual things. You
Yeah,
know,
like for real, like
the math and science, what you forget most of that shit. But like how to
Experiences, how to do.
get by, how to move.
they say. I think it's true when they say like the thing that makes school worthwhile is the experience,
Yeah.
interactions.
Right.
More often than not, the actual things we learn in there, especially in the early learning days,
Yeah.
don't matter.
You forget them, bro. You forget
Yeah.
them. But if you can learn how to say, nah, that's bullshit. You've really learned. That's a lesson you'll take with you for life.
Yeah.
You know what I
For
mean?
life.
If you can.
Quickly.
You've learned.
Yes.
Zero. Even if it's for telling a teacher, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's only when I got older I realized, bro, all the kids who were always getting into trouble at school, who are always
They are the
like,
ones
whatever,
who are bold in
Those
those are
life.
the sharpest guys, bro.
They're taking
Like,
risks.
They might not have even performed the best in class
Yeah,
or whatever.
but those are the guys who will
the
survive.
sharpest guys, bro.
Yeah, but yeah, that's actually something very consistent
real
because the guys who are used to following the rules, when you're in a situation where you have to, there are no rules for you to abide by. There are no active rules for you to abide by.
Yeah.
There's no one who is spoon feeding you. No one who's
Right.
telling you it's time to do this. Time to do this.
Right.
I feel like most of them will have a hard time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like the guy was just like, man, me, I don't go by.
Yeah.
And it's just really trying to not fit in a. How can I put it? I guess you're not easily swayed and controlled
Right.
by other things, and
Right.
you're able to like make your
own mind.
make your own
And
decisions.
that's the last thing that school wants from you,
Yeah.
actually, by the way.
True, they'll try
they will
and
do
dumb you
everything
down.
to get that out of you. And yet, that's the thing that gets you by in life, bruh. That's the thing that.
true.
Do you know, honestly, right, bro? There are a lot of stories that I hear. Someone who never attended like
Boarding school.
boarding school in this UG, bro. There are many things that I hear that just sound fucking straight terrible, and you hear parents still taking their kids to these same schools and putting them through the same shit.
Who are going through the
Like,
same things.
the same bullshit.
It works on the
But is that
example.
also not their mentality when they're like, you know what, if I take you to this like traumatic experience, you will learn something from it. You will.
But also,
you know what I mean?
the
I don't agree with that
examples,
logic, but
like-
is that the logic?
The logic is if I took one of your brothers and they survived, or someone
Then you-
has
why
taken,
not you?
Right.
Why not you? And
Right.
we don't like to change
Yeah.
the usual, the old one that is
yeah, once you find a thing that works,
that works.
Okay, here, I think let me ask this question differently. Magalia, we're talking about Makerere, right? So we're talking about how, like, bro, you know what? There are a lot of things that are not right about Makerere, but there's also something about if you graduate from that institution and you make it through all that bullshit, right? There's something about that you're already actually ready for working life in Uganda. You know, you're ready for working life in Uganda where things are never straightforward. You know what I mean? Like, your merits are not necessarily going to be rewarded in the way that you were told at home.
what
like,
school did you go to? Secondary.
Secondly, I went to Kalinavidi.
So did you guys have a thing where it was boarding? Did you guys have a thing where you're like, if you go to this school and come out of it in one piece, you can make it in life. Did you have that mentality?
We had I'm going to do a doctor, or I'm gonna, have this set for definite jobs, the titles, the white collar, blue collar, and then you had some of us that just,
You were just going through the motions of school.
Yeah, it's just like, let's go through this thing because, man, you have to go through the system, right?
Yeah.
And you pick up way too much outside than you do pick up in school, and then you're like, yeah, but you need this document.
Yeah, that's for me. Having gone to Chivuli, we always had the one thing, the one thing that encouraged all of us.
Also getting drunk.
The one thing that encouraged us was that if I can come out of this alive in one piece, I'm set. I can go through many things in life at least. And the reason why I say this didn't come from the students. This came from the fact that many parents who took their kids to Chivuli, because Chivuli at the time, in my days, it was known for 3 things: the academics, the caning, and the sports. Right? If you can be either a religious person, or be a smart person, a book smart person,
scripture union,
or at least be in sports. That was it. That was the goal. So just like, at least let me come out good in one thing, right? I'm good, right? So
what was your thing, Wana?
Wow, nothing. Actually, like,
that's the Chibuli
we had the co-curricular activities were like, it was very rare to find one person who wasn't into something. There were guys who were like, it was very rare to find there was a daft kid who is not into sports or religion,
art.
There was always something. And I think it was a good balance, but like, man, it was such a strict school that if you were able to at least like one thing, of those 3, if you were able to like one thing, and that be your thing, that at least I got sharp in this thing.
Right.
Yeah, you are good, because some people really got broken and could not survive in the school.
Man, I roamed
like,
around.
You're not into sports, you're not into academics, you're failing to connect with anyone.
You're only into Chibuli.
You can't be into girls. It can't be a thing of, I'm that guy.
Yeah. If you don't have clout from any of those other things.
Exactly.
Jesus.
Like, you don't even sit in class with girls to study.
Right.
You don't interact with girls regularly.
So is it like this or is it like this?
What do you mean?
Like, it's like some
it's
mosques
different
like
in the mosque. No, I'm talking about
like
the mosque.
In the mosque they put women first in front. That's if they're praying in the same space, right?
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the men back. I don't know.
I thought it was the opposite.
It's women behind, and there's a very specific reason.
But I
for
also
that.
can't over argue because I haven't been in the.
Yeah, but it's women behind. In class. In class was just.
I believe you.
Either it was a thing of girls in one row, and column, and boys in another, like that, because girls
side by side.
Yeah. Or it was a thing of, in every column, a few desks, girls, then boys, like that. But like, we started to have like a few teachers who tried to like mix it up, because when people are contrary to the belief that when you mix boys and girls, they get easily distracted. They actually concentrate.
Sincerely.
You're not going to sleep to start with,
bro.
Like, sitting next to a chick.
Honestly, bro. First of all, like, men should not be left alone. In any circumstances, they should not be left alone, bro. Like, we don't help ourselves, bro.
We don't know how
Flies, bro. You read Lord of the Flies?
Yeah.
That's the whole moral of the story, by the way. Like, I don't think it's about power and politics and all that shit. It's just like, if you leave a bunch of men alone, they will devour each other. They will burn the world. What?
And I remember even prep time, the few prep rooms that were like for privileged students, it was mixed, boys and girls. Guys read their asses off doing prep.
Right.
But the ones where it was just girls, only boys were sleeping.
Do you think it's a thing of like, I don't know, like,
I can be myself, something like that.
Okay.
Or nobody's looking at me, sort of thing.
Okay.
Nobody's looking at me.
Yeah.
Sleep.
Yeah.
That was overdoing it. We overdid it.
Did you ever go to a single sex school?
No.
Okay.
No, it was not a.
I was only in a single-sex dorm in university, bro, and even
Single-sex dorm?
Yeah.
Are dorms mixed?
Yeah, there's some mixed dorms in that university, but
like in one block, you find both. In one block or in different, or in same block, different floors.
it was rare, but actually you'd have like kind of separate blocks. Easy. I think there was like one res that was straight up mixed, and I think it was quite small. But I might be making that up. But yeah, dude, man, it was a mess, you guy, bro. Like I was in that dorm for 2 years. I came out the third year. Yeah, I came on the third year, and I reflected as a person on who I had become.
Just like so careless,
bro.
Did you see yourself as a very careless human being generally?
It wasn't a matter of carelessness. Let's just put it like that.
No.
It wasn't a matter of carelessness. It was a matter of maybe to some extent recklessness, but also, man, like the drinking, the way that I saw women, the way that I saw relating with other men, and it was not healthy, bro. It was not healthy, dog. It was not. I forgot who I was, low-key, you know what I mean? Like, group and herd mentality became pretty important. Even if in the group as well, the guy was fucking up and not doing the group shit, like, it still was very like, this is what we're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very much toxic masculinity.
It was very toxic on all the levels, bro. Like, okay, shout out all the homies one time. But like, but bro, yeah, no, the truth is like, man,
we are not
coming
good
out
for
of
each other. We are not good for each other.
Like, we really just needed some women in that situation, and like very often, even the nights when like we went out with like our female friends, like, bro, we just behaved better. You know what I mean? Like, she was just, oh my god.
I mean, I remember getting to campus, right? And the hostel was mixed.
Yeah.
And it was mixed in such. They only mixed it in such a way that they wanted a form of organization. So ground floor, boys, so it was interchanged like that. Boys, girls like that. But I could see those who had come from single schools struggled.
Bro.
Struggled of like, they're uncomfortable but excited at the same time. They're just like, they're going to look at me doing I'm not sure if they... Is this cool with them? Do they see this as like a normal thing? You know, and you're just like, no, sometimes you just be like, that's not very cool. You know? Don't brush your teeth outside of your door. That's not cool. That's the reason why there's a bathroom.
It's like everyone suddenly got a mirror.
You know,
I just looked at themselves like,
okay,
there's something wrong with this picture, bro.
So like, that's the one thing I noticed is that you could see the people who had interacted with like with girls, you know, in high school. When they got to campus and the situation was like imposed, they reacted quite normally. Those who had been to single schools sometimes didn't have the best few months. You know, the process of adapting to the situation was a bit rough.
Those niggas got a different kind of horny.
When they break loose, they break loose.
Is that lockdown horny?
Bro,
I ain't seen nothing.
Bro, I remember a friend of mine telling me actually, because he'd been to a single-sex school. He's like, bro, man, I don't see girls as friends. You know what I mean? And like later on, I thought about it in life. I was like, man, this person is really struggling to see women as people. But like, I was just like, bro, like, after spending so long just with like men being the people that you can maybe predict to some extent, you can made bonds with, whatever. Women just always felt like the other guys. You know what I mean? The opposition.
Those people.
The ops. I swear, women become the ops, bro. Like,
how do they think? You know, it was always, how do they? Are they? You know, it was, you don't look at them as people. You're like, either from a different tribe or a different creature.
Even if they do things that are similar and would make sense to you, the fact that you already done that
their views were very sexist. Everything was, everything was very sexist.
Bruh. There's the ops, and I feel like that's why even this language sometimes comes of like being like, man, these guys, when they talk about like vibing a chick, it's like they're going to either deceive her, you know what I mean? Like they're going to scam her, deceive her, defeat her, And I feel like that's where that thing comes from, bro.
It's like, conquering, you know?
Yeah,
It's the hunter mentality that we still have.
Hey, bro, shit. Like, they wanna fuck too. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be like that, dog. Like, if you're into women and you wanna do that, please, best believe they wanna fuck too. But if you come with that whole shit, you're setting yourself back, bro. You know what I mean? Like, you're also not helping yourself, dog.
Don't sit back and be like, okay, so this is the strategy board.
Yeah.
So this is how I'm going to attack. You know, this is how they think. So this is how we're going to counter it.
Pick up artists, you know, pick up artists will tell you, bro, don't be too nice to her. The fuck, bro? Those guys were no one's friends, bro. Don't be too nice to her, don't be too, you know, like, just like, say something
compliment her and then downgrade her.
Bro.
And bring it back.
Also, you're like, also the person who that works on, like, what kind of person are we dealing with right here, man?
Everything,
how is
it feels like a chess game. You know, it's like, I'm going to use this piece. So have that piece. So don't over, you know, everything feels like a chess game.
So
and I've interacted with this friend of ours who, like, he that's how he puts it.
I know this person, right?
You know,
I know exactly what you're talking
like,
about.
Interaction with women is a chess game.
Have you ever been asked out by a woman before?
Yeah. And
did
it was
you
very
feel
disorienting.
afterwards?
Very disorienting because the thing is, I feel like as a man,
But tell us the story properly. Tell us the story properly.
I'm on record.
Uh-huh.
To be a celeb.
Shout out. You know yourself.
Anyway,
When you hear
but
this,
here's
you
the
know
thing is
who
that
you are.
the reason why I say it's disorienting is that
This nigga like Drake.
Yeah.
You know who you are. I got you.
I see you.
the reason why I think it's disorienting is that you sort of have that you're the one who pursues.
Okay.
Right? So like attack, not working, back to the drawing board.
Sure.
Attack, go
But you
back
feel
to
like
the
you're in
drawing
control
board.
of that process,
So
right?
now
Of the
once the
decisions.
tables have turned and it's confusing because now you're like when you attack, you obviously you dread rejection.
Yeah.
You dread being bounced back to the drawing
Yeah.
board. So now you're just like, I don't want to waste time.
Right.
Women like to be chased, that's why they prolong there.
The affair.
As I don't know if we necessarily enjoy it, but we're okay strategizing like that.
We've been socialized too. Like, we've been told that's
Yeah,
how it
exactly.
works. That's
So very fast you want to flip the quid pro quo, right?
Right.
And you're just like, if she's the one,
Right.
I don't want to prolong the thing. Me, I want it now. That's if you like the person.
Right,
You get it?
right.
That's if you like the person.
Bro, a nigga might straight up sabotage that shit just because they're not in control of it.
Exactly,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
That's a very when you socialize to be in control of it and to be the one who says
breaks the-
I'm pursuing you. Hey.
Even when you say no, it's okay. I planned for it. I'm coming back.
Yeah,
also
you feel
breaks
like you're in
the
control of that
wind,
thing, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's a
Breaks
lack
the
of
wind.
control that's... Have you been asked out by a woman?
Yeah.
How many? Several times or?
It's okay.
And when I say,
okay.
you see, let me specify, Malcolm. Let me specify.
Also did.
Not just asking out,
Yeah.
because there's a chick flirting with you and letting you know that
Right.
she's
She's
digging your
into
back.
you.
That's
Right.
different. That happens.
Right.
But a chick coming to tell you, man, I've been seeing you
sure.
on the daily.
Right.
I don't know if it happens like that. For me, it was
Right.
different. Been seeing you, or you've been friends,
Yeah.
whatever. Or maybe it's a one of that. That one is different. When she lays it down on you like that,
Like that, like
Right.
that.
and you're just like, how do you react to a thing like that?
Right.
Flattered.
Do you just say, nice, thank you. You're welcome. Likewise.
Thank you.
Or the one I never understood.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you.
I'll get back to you. No, I think at that point you also kind of like, even you, how do you see that person?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could also just not see that person.
True.
And I think that's also kawa.
Yeah.
But also I think for you, like, also, so what do you want? You know what I mean? Like, based on that, what do you want? Like, you also can't just say, I've seen you and I like you. Okay, so what do you want?
You just say yes, or you go for.
Also, what about this other scenario of like just a sexual tension of like, maybe you're both digging the vibe, but you're just like, should we like, is she,
Yeah.
who is going to, somebody has to,
Yeah.
so like,
Crack this egg.
and it sort of,
It just
I swear, the thing I hate about that
Body
thing,
language.
Yeah.
it eventually fuses up.
Yeah. and then you have a chat about it like 5 years later.
like-
You know, I was really into you. God damn, bro.
You know, why didn't you? Because even you.
Yeah,
Why are we so not animals? Animals really
Cold
don't
war,
have
man.
this thing.
Yeah. Hey man, I feel like I used to be that guy actually. I used to be like not very comfortable with the idea of being into people. You know what I mean? And I think I was uncomfortable with like, like how they will perceive me or what. I don't even know, bro. Like, also I think movies made me want like shit to be perfect. You know what I mean? Shit to be like the moment, like maybe even some music starts playing. You know what I mean? Like no explanation. Maybe you're at the mall. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
you overplanned the thing.
Yeah, bro. Essentially, in my mind, I'd overplan the thing. It's like, dude, you feel how you feel. Just fuck it, bro. There's never a perfect time. You know?
Yeah. But I think it's dangerous for some people to get used to being rejected or turned down. Some people say that.
Is that not the best thing?
I don't know. It depends on who is on.
What kind of used are you talking about? Used of like, okay, it's like
It's
what
like I
of a duck's
expect
back.
it. I still go, but I
So it
expect
fucks with
it.
your like, so it fucks with your self-esteem.
So now eventually, every time you approach a chick, it's almost like
I know you're gonna turn me
you're
down,
just
but
toying with the thing. You're
Right.
you're just like, I'm just gonna throw it out. You're okay, like you're
Right.
used to expressing yourself
Right.
and your feelings.
Right.
But you're also like, I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I hope, but also I don't care.
Bro, you know what? I also feel like to some extent it's also about like, man, do you see that person as a whole person, right? Because I think sometimes the expectations that we have, right, we make them out of just like we project on the person. We're just like, yeah, they're going to be. respond like this or like
That's
that, like
that
like
thing
you know what
of
I mean?
us boys when we were young. We always thought the chick we crashed on never pooped.
Sure.
We thought they never sneezed.
Maybe you. Maybe you.
I swear, did it ever cross your mind
Yeah. Did you
that this person is nasty?
Nasty.
you
Like
have-
they take a shit also when they
Yes.
like at home.
They're
in
dirty.
life, like they're dirty.
You know,
like
you see that person you have a crush on is perfect.
Did you have those
man.
senior women?
I think I grew up in a
They
house
don't
full
fart?
of women. I think I grew up in a house full of women and I was just like, man, no, life is life.
Yeah, but
Life is life and it's gross sometimes.
when you crush on someone, it's different.
yeah.
When you crush on someone, it's different.
Right.
You forget about all the times you got hurt.
Right.
You forget about all the times you got tramped on.
Right.
This one is new. This one actually is mwah.
Yeah.
You know?
No butthole.
There's a
Zero
booty with no
butthole.
butthole.
Ah, man, that's why you go wrong. That's why you go wrong. That's why you waste your good time, bro.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you see a person is a full person, right? The things that you won't be like as phased by, but like, oh, bro, like, goddamn, you know, okay, you meet someone, you're into them, but in that very moment, they're also into somebody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
You take it very differently if
When you know
if you projected it in your mind. You're like, okay, I'm into them, they're into me, bro. If you do that shit, you might not even see the very obvious signs of that other person who might be in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they might literally drop
It's
them
very
off every
one-sided
time
for you. You're not like,
biased to
I
the
get
point.
what you're saying.
you know, you don't see that they have a whole universe, bro. Like they have a whole life they've lived before they met you, after when they're not with you, when they're, you know, and like, bro, yeah, they gotta poop, bro. Shit, man. they gotta poop, bro. Like your crush has to poop, bro. Otherwise, you're fucked.
Yeah, I think let's wrap this one up. I think we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, very weird place to wrap.
What a way to end it, bro.
I gotta poop.
Your crush has gotta poop, bro.
I gotta poop.
Oh, man.
I'm very thirsty.
Same.
I feel like I've been talking for hours.
Same. How long
How's
is this?
That's
It's an hour and a half.
Okay.
yeah, about actually just under an hour.